Welcome to On the Map, a podcast produced by Music Artist Pipeline. I'm your host, Chuck Hutchison. Today's guest is Claxton, Georgia native Micah Bonn. Micah is an award-winning singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist. Micah excels in many aspects of music performance. As the youngest winner of the John Hartford Songwriting Competition, Micah is also a Georgia Country Female Artist of the Year winner. Join us as we get to know Georgia's own Micah Bonn. Hey everybody, you're listening to On the Map, a podcast produced by Music Artist Pipeline. I'm your host, Chuck Hutchison. Today sitting in with us is our co-host, Myles Willis, the one and only from Statesboro, Georgia. Today's guest is Micah Bonn, also known as Michael Boney for you local folks. Had to throw that in there. We almost messed that up earlier.
Well, that's $25 right there, Chuck.
Okay, I'll take cash or PayPal.
Thank you for having me on.
This is a cool day. We actually just tracked for Bo Norwood that you played on, and so we're just here hanging out, and it just worked out where we were able to do a podcast here. So we're excited to have you. We're now posting on the allongeorgia.com website. So if you want to go listen to the podcast there, I think they're also posting them to YouTube. We're going to have them up on iTunes soon in different places. So it's kind of cool for us because we really want to showcase local talent. And you are obviously talented. And so we're super happy to have you here today.
That's very kind.
All right. Now, it's really neat that I met you through, well, maybe not through, but with Myles. And when we did a gig over at the, what was that? The
Kiwanis Fairgrounds over in Statesboro.
Yeah.
Like it's the universe aligned.
Yeah.
Here we are, I don't know how many years later.
Yeah, full circle.
Yep. And
I think I had you guys playing, y'all were my band.
Mm-hmm, yep.
Yeah, what a great show that was.
That was a good night.
Yeah,
Yep.
you were super young then.
Yeah, I was probably 14 at the time.
That's why you act so old now.
It's true.
Old soul.
I turned 20 about, I don't know, a few months ago. So.
Oh, so old.
I finished that. I didn't realize that at all.
Yeah.
I feel old. I feel old.
It's funny how we all end up playing with each other's bands and getting to do some cool stuff. And it's always a little different. Like when I played with Myles and with Blue Voodoo, it was more blues and rocking. But yours is also a really cool thing. But it's more of a mixture because your taste is so eclectic. Why don't you tell us, for the listener who may be listening that doesn't know about you, what's some of your styles, your influences, the things that you like?
Yeah. Well, like you said, I do draw from a wide variety of genres, which sometimes can be, well, I think it's a good thing. I think it adds a lot of, variety into a show and whatnot. I think that also comes through in my songwriting of, the different influences. But I study a lot of jazz. That's sort of my focus these days, that and classical. But I sing a lot of country and jazz classics and rockabilly. Mm-hmm. And definitely I have a strong affinity for funk and R&B. So it's just sort of a conglomeration of those. I try to take the best aspects of each genre and combine them to create something new.
Have you tried?
Also play like every instrument known to man.
No,
kind of, sort of.
No.
I was just about to ask, have you jumped into opera yet?
No. I've been studying a lot of classical violin. So right now I'm doing a piece by Bach, but I try to sample that, and then also like straight bluegrass, like Kenny Baker and Becky Buller, and then also like gypsy jazz, like Rapelli. And anyway, I just put it all together and see what comes out, which I think is exciting.
Well, to me, the best musicians are the ones that can not necessarily diversify, but take different elements of everything, because when you can take a little bit of the funk and apply it to your country, when you really get in, listen to the greats, no matter what genre, they all have a little bit of element of soul and feeling. And if you can capture that feeling, that's what really makes the best musicians.
Yeah, I guess like if you had to, definitively say like what my genre is, it's sort of one that I made up, based on like funk and country, like the storytelling aspect of country and the heartfelt aspect of it. But I call it cosmic country funk.
That's pretty cool.
Graham Parsons is a big influence on me with the cosmic aspect of like the songwriting and the storytelling, but then if you put that and you mix it with like a very James Brown kind of beat, I guess that would be, it's like Graham Parsons meets James Brown, cosmic country funk.
And we'll look that up on my way home on Spotify, see if I can find something.
I guess that's one of those offspring that could be potentially homely. But if you do it right, I guess it works out.
Well,
I'm still trying to hear it in my head.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like, I've always wondered, like, if Bob Dylan and James Brown wrote a song together, like, what would that sound like, Because James has just the incredible infectiousness of his, the catchiness of all of his songs. And then Dylan is, just like storytelling, poetry.
Wordsmith.
Exactly. And I like to, try to imagine what that collaboration would have been like and put my own interpretation on it.
Yeah. Interestingly, I think you might know this, Myles, but our studio partner here, Kent Dowling, he actually got to sing next to Alison Krauss one time on a show.
Wow.
Yeah, he told me that story, I think, last time we were here.
Yeah. I mean,
he's got a million of them.
That's a really neat thing because she's, to me, when I see Alison Krauss sing, it's so effortless. It's like she was just born to do that. She was created to do that. It's like, I love seeing people that it's just so natural that it just comes out of them. That's real. And that pure voice is just amazing, which likewise, you have a great voice.
Thank you.
So what's some of the stuff that you've been doing lately? Do you have any shows coming up, any projects that you'd like for folks to know about? Yeah.
So June the 25th, which is this Friday, I'm going to be performing in St. Simon's at Moss, which is a very cool lounge. And I will be performing with a very accomplished pianist named Jerry Gowan, and he's from the St. Simon's area. And he is just a veteran of the music industry. Lived in Nashville for at least 25 years, and he's been a recording artist for a long time, doing studio work. And he also played in Opryland, and he's played alongside a lot of country greats like Minnie Pearl and Roy Acuff, and many others. He has a whole list, right? So it's been so cool getting to collaborate with him. I've learned a lot, and I think that the show that we put on has a lot of diversity in it, and a lot of one moment we're playing like Gershwin, and the next moment we're doing Guy Clark, and so
I love Guy Clark.
Yes, I love Guy Clark. Oh my gosh! So we'll be playing at Moss in St. Simon's this Friday, the 25th. July the 1st, I will be with Brandy Harvey at Bernie's in Swainsboro, and that will be on a Thursday. And I'm very excited for that. We recently started a duo project called the Maybells, so definitely looking forward to that. She's a very, very talented singer and just an artist, songwriter as well. And those two things come to mind off the cuff. But I will be at the Graham Parsons Guitar Pool in October, and I think that's like October the 22nd. Don't quote me on that, but I'm very much looking forward to it. And I keep a very busy performing schedule. I've been lucky and feel very thankful to be able to say that. I perform a lot in the Brunswick area and in Savannah and Statesboro.
Mm-hmm. I had the fortune of playing with you twice at the Guitar Pool.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me on that.
Of course. Yeah, we have YouTube videos from that, and the Pine Box Dwellers were with us. Sean Clark and I believe Jesse Heron was with us at that time, and who else? Connor Griffin, the fabulous drummer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was fun.
I enjoy the Pine Box Dwellers. They were literally the first band that ever played Tom Waits for me. That I asked. I asked every band, and they were the first ones. They were like, "I got you, man."
Yes, they. Oh my gosh,
Sean's such a funny guy too. You know?
Yes, extremely. Their music is just so dynamic, and just the artistry that is in it. It's unlike anything I've ever heard. And I mean, they just have such a unique sound. Like when I hear them. They don't sound like anyone else. They've really found it, and it just works so well for them.
Yeah, talented guys, great songs.
Extremely, yeah. Oh my gosh, Sean is an incredible songwriter, and Connor writes as well. And of course, that's part of the Waycross tradition. With Graham Parsons being from Waycross, there's
Uncle
a lot
Dave,
of
Uncle Dave.
Yes,
yeah.
Uncle Dave Griffin is just a wonderful raconteur and storyteller. Singer-songwriter.
Yeah, the time that we rehearsed, we were there. Whose shed was that?
That was Jesse's, the bassist.
Yeah,
those are the best practices in sheds.
Yes, it's true.
it is truly a shed. It's kind of like they started to make a studio 30 years ago, and just kind of it didn't really develop much. I mean, it's a great space, but it's like you could tell it's been there a minute.
Well, I've heard some very good music that's come out of that.
Oh yeah.
I think that Jesse did his. I may be wrong about this. He may be like, that wasn't right, but I'm pretty sure he did his a solo album Hauntings in that, and it has such a wonderful cosmic country, like ethereal feel, and the songs which he wrote. Are so good. So I've heard some very good music come out of there.
Yeah, the best places. I've talked with a world-class acoustic designer before, and his thing is like, the rooms that you track in, that's not really the important part. The important part is where you're listening at, because that's what is going to be heard in the real world, the way you mix music. It's not how you track it necessarily; it's how you mix it, because that kind of creates the vibe, and it kind of makes sense. You can throw a microphone in front of a guitar amp anywhere, but the way you mix it and the way you kind of craft the character of the song, that has a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it's certainly an art that goes into just having a studio, and I've observed that with the way that you run your studio here in McRae. It's It makes playing the violin seem very simple.
Oh, no.
I don't have to keep up with all these little knobs and buttons and equalizers. I just, put the bow on the strings.
Space bars play now and stop, so you're like well on your way.
Well, I got that to work for part of the time.
Yeah, people look at these big consoles and they think, oh my God, all these knobs. But it's really just one channel. And if you can learn one channel, all the other channels are exactly the same thing, same concept. So you're not having to learn like in the case of our big console, what's that? Probably 300 knobs.
Looks like it.
You're not learning 300-400 knobs. You're basically learning.
Looks like something off of Star Trek.
Yeah. I remember the first time he sent me a picture of it. It was on a forklift. He was like, "Want to come help us load it in?" I was like, "No, not really. I'm busy that day."
Actually, my back hurts.
Yeah, for those listening, for you music gear nerds, we have a Midas XL4 console in the studio, and we recently acquired it. It was basically designed to be a touring Neve or a touring SSL for your big major worldwide acts. And with COVID, some of these companies they were uncertain about the future of the live music industry, so some of these companies started getting rid of older gear. And we looked up and found this one in great working order. All the channels worked. And when this board came out new in the mid-90s, it was about $150,000. So this is 25 plus years later. We get one, and we find one in great working order for $4,000. We have a 56-channel console, all analog, 4-band EQ, high-low shelf, 16 auxiliary sends, built-in patch bay for $4,000. How do you do that?
Yeah.
And we probably got the best deal in the world on that thing. It's crazy.
Well, you had to buy it. You didn't want to lose money.
No, we almost bought a second. Honestly, it's just to have one for parts. At that price. Now that see, everything's going back up now. So these boards are going, even the crappy ones are going for like at least $7,000 that are barely working. So
Wow.
we just happened to hit it at the right guy at just the right time with cash in hand, and
That's it. Universe aligned again.
yeah.
Meant to be.
And I got some of the best drum tracks I ever got this past Saturday running through the board. The preamps are great, so we love it. With your creative process, when you write or you perform, tell us some of the thought processes, the things that go through your mind when you're either performing or creating or writing.
Other than your fantastic suits that you have. And
That
Yes.
helps.
Yes.
Thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you. Yeah. So, okay. Well, I think that writing songs and putting together, kind of your artistic identity is something that has been culminated for me. It's kind of evolved over the years, and it's been a really, really cool process to look back on and see all my different phases and stages and
I'm not meaning to stop you, but yeah, you played with literally everyone around Statesboro for a long time, and like you literally, and everybody loved you. You were like Statesboro musician's little sister to everybody.
Aw.
Yeah, and
That's so sweet.
I'm sure everyone will listen to this, but yeah, for a long time, I feared for the first boyfriend that you had. So.
That's very sweet, Myles. Thank you. Well, I mean, yeah, we played together for a really long time. That's some of the best years of my life. Yeah, looking
Your
back
dad
on
made
that.
a meme about me that time. We played at the Real Squeal over in Lyons.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, that's the one time I've ever been in a meme.
Yes, he was like smoking a cigarette on stage, playing this hot guitar solo, obviously, right? And I think Dad made a meme. He's like, "You might be cool, but you'll never be Myles Willis." Just bluesing it out with a cigarette. Yeah, just ripping up the guitar.
I was on that one.
That's something you can't fake. It's just.
Yeah, I was on that one. I think.
Yeah, you could have.
Yeah.
I don't know. We've done a lot of stuff together over the years. But I didn't want to interrupt you. But I just felt like I had to cut in there.
Yeah. So that was something I did for many years. Was when I was just starting out. I played mostly fiddle and mandolin with different bands around Statesboro. Tall Paul Phillips was, I think, the first person that really extended me that opportunity. I'm so grateful. And I was just, really just a little pipsqueak, like little, chipmunk, right? Like trying to figure out.
Now you're a big chipmunk.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Like a groundhog.
Exactly. So that was so kind of him, and we, we performed a good bit and played with Myles and Blue Voodoo and his band Blue Voodoo, and also with Wesley Bragg and Dylan Bragg. That was such a wonderful experience as well. And then I began to kind of go on in my own direction with my solo show, which has been a very interesting process because it's really changed my approach to different instruments that I play and how I choose the songs that I want to perform. What I've really enjoyed doing lately is taking songs that are, very beloved classics and putting a fresh interpretation of them. So like I will do, Beatles in the style of bossa nova or in hip hop.
Or James Brown and Dylan.
Yeah. I do like Led Zeppelin on the violin and disco as well on the fiddle. So that has been really fun, and audiences seem to respond well to it as well. So I anticipate that evolving more in the future, me going more into that direction.
One of the things I like about working in the studio, especially if we kind of have somewhat of a producer's role, is helping an artist create a sound. And most people, we enjoy the songs we know, but as an artist, if you do somebody else's song, you want it to be your own.
Right.
So one of the rewarding things about running a studio and playing the producer role is that you get to help that artist kind of find what they do, who they are, their sound. And
right.
That's a rewarding and fun process of discovery.
Yeah.
So I totally get that.
And so few studios do that nowadays. especially like, they just want an artist to come to them like fully formed, right? Like Venus out of the half shell, like. But that's not the way that music really is. It's a dissipative structure. It's always changing and coming forth in new incarnations, and that's the artistic process. Finding your voice. So it's so cool that that you are doing that, and it takes a lot of passion for the art, and it's a selfless kind of service.
Well, a studio is a service, like as you just stated. But when you get into artist development, which is kind of where we're going with the studio here, it's about helping the artist find a career path, and creating a career, not just writing a hit song like a one-hit wonder.
Right, like churning out things.
Yeah, like hate to bust on Nashville, but Nashville has its thing, and if you don't operate in that machine, like Big Machine Records or whoever, right, you stand a lot less chance of getting in that rotation. It's like a click, and used to labels seem to actually want to develop an artist. Now they just want a big song to sell and make money off the song. Right. So it's not really about the artist anymore.
And also they see it as a liability to take on someone who has a different style. They are looking for carbon copies of what's already been done, and it makes perfect sense logically why they do that. I mean, if Luke Bryan sells tens of incredible amounts of music and makes a ton of money, then they're going to want someone that's as close to that as they can possibly get. But that's a very corrosive process.
Yeah, you lose originality over the long haul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, people that are truly passionate about what they do, everybody's got this idea of sell out. We don't want to sell out. Da, 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 da. And it's not really about selling out. I mean, we all want to be successful, but we just want to be real to ourselves and create what we want to create and do what we love. It's not about selling out. I mean, how can you fault somebody that loves bro country?
If that's what you want to do, go for it.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah. So you can't bust on that, but at the same time, it's almost like the machine of it, the business of it, the way things operate. It's like if it's keeping really talented people pushed down, that's not good. We want to lift up everybody.
Yeah, so. That's one reason why I was attracted to bluegrass, because it seems like that stamp process where you just like in pop or in bro country or whatever, where you're just trying to do the same thing all the time, is not. I don't think that occurs as much in bluegrass. I mean, yes, everybody wants to sound like Bill Monroe, and all the banjo players want to be as good as Earl, but it seems like they're very open to, in the acoustic world, they're very open to, different influences like gypsy jazz, if you scratch a little bit past the surface, you realize like all the best bluegrass players, have a jazz background or experience in it. So anyway, and I found in music festivals and everything across the Midwest, some of them I've played at, like Moccasin Creek and the John Hartford Festival and Bean Blossom.
You won the John Hartford one year, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I was the youngest person to win that songwriting contest. It's a national songwriting contest. But anyway, at these festivals, it just really warmed my heart to see all this originality being celebrated, and that being considered commercial. People being attracted to go see someone because they are so different than the rest. These outliers.
One of our big contacts in the music industry is Jan Smith out of Atlanta, and with this most recent Grammys, which was kind of, you hate to be too critical, but let's just say garbage.
I didn't watch it, so
I didn't watch it either.
Yeah.
But even Jan made a post on her Facebook page about how just we're getting away from being creative. It's all about just superficial, shallow imagery, and it's not about music anymore. And
go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying it's. When you get to a point where some of the biggest industry folks are starting to say, hey, we need to steer this ship, right the ship, get it back right. That's saying something.
But to to be optimistic about it, I do think that the pendulum swings backwards and forward, or back and forth. the pendulum swings back and forth.
Swing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like John Anderson.
So, I think like for every action, there's a reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
that's just physics.
Right, and it's true in periods of art, and I think it's the same thing applies to the music industry. So, like, music definitely reached a high point in the 70s, where like you have bands like Queen, and I believe like ELO was in the 70s, maybe like late 70s, early 80s,
yeah,
I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, just doing mind-blowingly amazing stuff that, and to think that like 30 years prior, the epitome of everything was Elvis strumming his guitar into,
and shaking his hips.
Yeah, and not to put down Elvis, because I love that raw.
Yeah, Brooke would not be happy with that one.
Well, I mean, like, my favorite artist is Jerry Lee Lewis, like, and it's just him and his piano, and that's all he needs, and that's it's just so perfect and raw. But then, so it went from just pure electrifying talent to electrifying talent in a different way, in like production and exploring, pushing the boundaries like Queen did with Bohemian Rhapsody. So you reach this high point, and then after that you have a period of decadence with like Madonna, and where it's more, it's just, where do you go? You can only go so high, right? At least for a while. I mean, like Prince, like how can you really top Prince? It's very difficult.
So I grew up in the 80s, so, I graduated high school in 1990, so all the hair band stuff was happening when I was in high school.
Right, yeah.
Talk about indulgence. It's like, all the bands started sounding the same, started looking the same.
Right.
Big hair, big makeup. We're talking about guys, we're not talking about girls, big hair, big makeup.
Yeah.
And at some point, it's just like everybody started sounding like that, and it just blew up, blew out, and blew away. I mean, it just...
And then come the 90s and Nirvana.
Yeah, so how different
grunge.
is
like
90s grunge from, the refinement of like, Bohemian Rhapsody or Elton John. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm not putting down grunge, but I'm just saying that it's a reaction, or it's an action and a reaction. So how this applies to what we were talking about is, I think that right now there seems to be sort of a homogenized aspect to the music industry right now. It's kind of just more of the same, like this machine, like you're talking about. I think that... we're
on the verge.
Yeah, we're on the verge of something big, and just a big mass shift in what audiences want to listen to and buy. So that's a very optimistic way to look at it, but I think it's the truth. I mean, I think we'll see people that are more like Bowie, that are just extremely individualistic.
Cosmic country, you might say.
No, I don't think cosmic country will ever be.
I'd listen to him, just saying.
Well, I don't know. Actually, it's they're like Casey Musgraves. I guess.
I mean, Sturgill Simpson sometimes.
Yeah.
Even some of his songs is. I mean, Turtles All the Way Down. That's a song. Song about, of course, the world being on top of a turtle's back, and then that's all, bigger turtles. It's
that's
crazy
cool.
Stuff. Yeah.
People love him. I mean, he's been so successful, which is amazing. It restores my faith in humanity.
Yeah.
Well, there's other guys like the white rapper dude that raps about being woke and all this other stuff.
Woke.
Was it 2 weeks ago? He had 2 songs on the Billboard charts, 2, and he's totally independent.
Wow.
He does it all himself, right?
Yeah. He and his wife do everything.
That's incredible.
And Eminem's Greatest Hits album came out, and he just totally blew away as far as sales and numbers.
Wow.
And he's totally
I
independent.
think Mill was talking about that when we were up there one time.
And that's the other thing too, is that I think we're going to see more and more of artists doing it all themselves, and being less dependent on a label to really push their music. I mean, nowadays with the internet, you can, if you are devoted enough and creative enough, there's no upper limit on what you can accomplish.
When MySpace came out, if you remember that.
Oh man, I miss MySpace.
And then they kind of went to the wayside. Facebook took over, and now we've got all these little quick things like TikToks, and when you can do a short little quick clip, boom, it's like instant. And people, human psychology. Most people have a short attention span, especially younger people. It seems older people we're a little more slowed down, a little more mature, a little more wise. We're not quite as big of a hurry.
If you say so.
Yeah. Part of the trick of the industry is capturing attention, and unfortunately, I think that's why they use the gimmicky stuff, the catchy stuff that's already been proven.
Yeah.
But I love creativity. I think everybody loves something that just sounds fresh and creative. I don't think the music industry will ever get away from that. You're always going to have guys that can, like Chris Stapleton. He wrote a bunch of stuff, but when people realize this dude can sing his butt off, I mean,
way better than.
Yeah.
And I've always been a big advocate of that too. The original songwriters, everybody does covers of all kinds of stuff, but to me, the original songwriter, there's just something magical about what they do because it's real to them. It was something that they went through. That there's just feelings there that you're not going to get from covering a song. I mean, you can probably relate to a certain extent, but you're never going to hit that thing with me. I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
really
just a certain
cool
magic there.
Yeah.
But
that's where it's purest. Is when you go back to them.
Yeah. I was going to say I'm actually I've been hanging out and doing I hang out and go listen to music all the time and play also, but I'm kind of really excited about what's happening, especially in Statesboro. I've noticed a big uptake in people listening to stuff that, of course, I've been listening to for 10, 15 years, artists, and but they're like, I want to hear this, and that to me is really exciting because when they stop asking for Luke, I'm sorry again, we brought him up earlier, but Luke Bryan or any kind of bro country song, and they start asking for what I consider to be real music to me anyway. That's exciting to me.
Yeah.
And it's going back to what you were saying. So
yeah, that's really cool.
I worked in Colorado one summer when I left Statesboro, Georgia Southern. I did a summer job out there, and it seemed like there was a much cooler music scene out there. It's like everything that was starting to happen was happening there, and it was just slower to get over here to the East Coast. I think in a good way the internet has kind of diversified things, and we pick up on hit songs, whereas in the old days they had to play on the radio to get some traction. So they may start out in Seattle or Los Angeles and get some airplay, and all of a sudden it's starting to shift a little bit. People start, it's like kind of like a viral spread, But with the internet, I mean, it's right here, right now. If it catches on, it catches on so much quicker because you could hit from right here. This podcast could be somebody could be listening in China, and all of a sudden, boom, you got 3 million Chinese people. Oh, I love this. I love the Micah Bonn. So,
it's a good Chinese accent.
It sounds a little Italian to me.
Well, my wife's half Italian. It's her birthday today, so
that's so cool. Happy birthday to you again.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I sent her some flowers. I think I surprised her. But yeah, the internet has made some things really good and some things really bad. But for the most part, I think it's really good for the artist because all of a sudden we can reach everybody in the world, really.
Yeah, and it's unprecedented too. I mean,
because growing up, for me at least, I had my dad's tapes right around his old truck. And then you had I-95, which was the same 50 rock songs played over and over again. And then you had the country stations, and that's what they were doing. And it was not until, and that's what me and Wesley, Michael, that's what we played up until, I think it was our junior year, maybe early senior year. One of our ag teachers, he was like, I got a CD you want to listen to. It was Ragweed CD. It was Soul Gravy. And that's still to this day one of my favorite albums because that completely changed. I mean, and that stuff didn't happen. If it wouldn't have been for that, there's no telling. It'd have been now before I started listening to that kind of stuff. There's no telling where I'd be now if it wouldn't have been for, I feel bad, I forgot his name. Anyway, he introduced us to that, and that's how it had to happen back then. We had no idea that other music there was completely different from what we were doing.
We got a new guy that may be coming in the studio working local guy from Rochelle, Georgia, named Matt McMillan in the city limits. Dude's writing some great stuff. I'll give a shout out to him. Hopefully we can get his songs going here pretty soon. We're going to do some mixing on his stuff, but he's a great Americana style, like real homegrown songwriter. Not trying to write anything that would sell on a top country station. He's basically writing real rootsy music. I love that kind of stuff. I'd rather listen to, just as an example, 100.9 The Creek out of Macon. They play nothing but indie stuff.
Yeah.
Occasionally they'll throw in a Chris Stapleton song, but it's usually not one of his bigger hits. It's usually something a little more rootsy. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I loved him back when he was in Steel Drivers. That was a bit bluegrassy.
Yeah.
Real good stuff there, but
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Yeah. So we kind of got off on a few subjects there, Micah. I keep wanting to call you by your real name, Michaelin.
Yeah. Let's talk about that real quick. Yeah. So yeah, my full name is Michaelin Boney, and that's what you guys have called me by. Thank you for being such troopers and actually learning how to say my name. I just want to thank you, seriously.
I still can't spell it.
Right. Neither can I. No, seriously, it's hard to say and it's harder to spell.
Don't be facetious.
So I just realized a reoccurring theme that, hey, people can't say my name, they can't spell it. Although it's very sentimental, right? Like I decided, hey, it'd be the best thing to do to shorten it. So I shortened it to a more manageable name, which is Micah Bonn, and I have had nothing but good feedback from people because they are able to say it more and it's easier in advertising and everything. So anyway, so that's why I changed it. Yeah, it's not like I need a stage name. Oh, this is my my alter ego, right? Like it was out of necessity, really.
It was a mouthful. I'm not going to lie. The first time I saw it, I was like, "What? That's Michaelin." What?
Right. Yeah. Well. Yeah, it has been out of necessity, but honestly, I wish I did it earlier because it was,
So just for the audience, to spell it is Michahlan.
Yeah, that's Michaelin. Mm-hmm.
And you've probably been called everything from Michelin to McCollin.
And what about your last name?
Well, I just felt that Micah Bonn was a bit easier to say than Micah Boney. Okay. And Bonn is the original Swiss name that it was, and then it kind of got redneckified into Boney. So
that's an appropriate way of saying that, considering your dad's from over here in this neck of the woods in Dodge County.
But anyway, I've always liked my last name and been very proud of it, and my grandparents and whatnot, but my family. But I thought Bonn was a little bit easier to say, and it's also the original incarnation of it.
Yeah, well, it looks good on the marquee. So the funny thing about being an artist, you kind of by default become a product. So, when you start thinking about your image, it's not just about your artistic side, because if you could have the best songs in the world, but you still kind of got to get out there and sell a little bit. So the image side, that's where it kind of becomes important. It all comes back to creativity. So being creative, how do you see yourself in the creative flow?
Well, there's lots of different aspects, to being a musician. Things you have to work on, things you have to kind of isolate to work on, and then some of it all works synergistically, right? So, can you be a little bit more specific? Because there's a lot of different ways that.
No.
No. At least you're honest.
No, I'm messing with you. There's so many facets to being an artist. Sometimes you have to manage musicians, you have to manage a band, you have to contact the venue, until you get on a larger scale where you have people that do that for you. So, and you still being kind of on a smaller scale, you're doing a lot of this stuff yourself. So,
and 20 on top of all this. I still can't manage bands, so congrats.
Well, I play solo, except
there's probably reasons for that.
Now, one of the cool things that you do, and a lot of people don't do a lot of, is that you do some looping in your live shows. Yeah,
so that has been an exciting development, and it's really changed the way that I just my approach to everything. So, for anyone that doesn't know, looping is. It's whenever you create a song live in front of an audience. So some people play with tracks that either they played like all the parts themselves, or they perhaps bought it from someone else, and that's really cool. But I enjoy doing it, creating it
right off the cuff.
Like it live in front of the audience, and
which is really cool to watch. By just you can keep going, but
thank you.
It's a challenge because you've got to do it right the first time. You get off the tempo or something.
And oftentimes you only get one chance to lay something down. So it's kind of like walking a tightrope in front of an audience, and but I enjoy that aspect of it, and it keeps me very aware, and I think it's helped my musicianship, especially like timing is so important when you're doing that, because if you do loop something that's a little bit off, well, it's stuck there, and it's going to drive you crazy. It's going to drive a listener crazy too. So anyway, that has really opened up a lot of avenues though for me as a fiddler, especially when I play solo, because I'm able to like lay down a bass line using an octave pedal on my fiddle, and I do percussion because there's a lot of rhythmic things you can do with the bow, and I also loop with the guitar as well, and that's I think significantly easier, honestly, just because the guitar is there's more strings on it and you don't have to play with the bow. But so anyway, I cover Prince and Gloria Gaynor, and I do a lot of Stevie Wonder as well. Sometimes I'll play two instruments at once. I'll have one looped and like the guitar strap on, and then I will go and like pick up the mandolin or the fiddle and lay something on top of that.
I was going to bring that up. You've been talking about fiddle and stuff, but you also play. I know for sure fiddle, mandolin, guitar. Banjo, and piano now, right?
Well, no. I
thought you were learning that last time we talked. I'm sorry.
No. I wish I played the piano. I'm so jealous of you, Chuck, by the way, because you're a great piano player. I play two different styles, like fiddle and violin, and then banjo, mandolin, acoustic and electric guitar, and I sing. And that's kept me pretty busy.
She's a one-woman band, basically.
Yeah, I know. She keeps asking me to play shows, and I'm like, wow.
Why do you want me? What do I have to offer?
Because you're great.
Oh, thank
you. He's all right for a bearded guy. I'm trying to catch up with him.
That's okay.
Yeah, you guys look like brothers.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
I'm the pretty brother. I'm sorry, Chuck.
Hey.
That's what I say about my real brother too. So.
Yeah. I don't know. Your brother Avery's got that long hair. It's.
Whatever.
See, I thought I looked a little more like Avery just because of the hair, but because I got long hair too. But
it's true. Well, maybe I'm related to you guys, and you just don't even know it with the long hair.
Well, it's just South Georgia.
Yeah.
Don't tell them what kind of branches we got around. No.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So that's been a recent development. Has been looping, and it's been really exciting, and I certainly will be doing more of that in the future.
Now, you mentioned you were doing an EP up in Nashville.
Yeah, I am. So it was sort of postponed, due to COVID and everything. I was up there for about a year and a half. I toured a good bit while I was living in Nashville. I toured in Wisconsin and Minnesota and Michigan, and anyway, and played a good bit around town. Went to a lot of like writers' rounds, and did a lot of co-writing while I was up there. So anyway, we released a song that's on part of the EP called Do Right, and I made a music video for that in West Virginia. And you guys can find that on YouTube if you're interested. It's called Do Right. And then anyway, then COVID hit basically, and I moved back to Georgia. And honestly, that was kind of serendipitous because although it was a very scary time for us all, I feel thankful to have been at home because I realized that I wanted to go to college around that time. So I'm a college student now, and that's been wonderful. And I will probably be in school for a long time. Looks like be my future, which I love being in school. So anyway, so I'm figuring out how to balance, music with another interest that I have, which is in science and in medicine. So that's been very rewarding so far.
Yeah. Isn't your brother in the medical field?
Yeah, he is a physician associate, a PA, and he practices in Columbia. Hopefully we'll be back in this area. And he actually is the one that got me into music. So, yeah.
Good move, bro.
Yeah.
Actually, I love your mom, and she tells me that I remind her of your brother a lot.
Yeah.
She said it was the beard mainly, and I was like, I'm fine with that. That's cool.
Well, you practically are my brother, Myles, so.
Well, I know that.
Yeah, I always enjoy hanging out with your mom and dad. They're cool folks.
Yeah, they are very cool.
Very funny. Yeah,
they're.
I love the Facebook post.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If you have time, whoever's listening, and you want a good laugh, just go to Karen and Mike's Facebook page, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
Also, we used to message back and forth. Sometimes I never could tell who I was talking to. I was like, I didn't want to ask because you can't be rude, but. At the same time, I was who the hell is it? Karen? It's Karen and Mike.
Which comedian am I talking to?
Yeah.
Well,
mostly it's Karen, I feel, telling Mike's stories.
Yeah.
Mom definitely has a very sharp sense of humor, and she comes up with some hilarious stuff. They've been very very supportive of my music, and I'm forever indebted to them because of that.
One of the things I would like for our listener to know, with you being a younger performer, 20 years old, kind of doing all this stuff, what advice do you have for young performers coming up that may want to be an artist or a performer?
Oh, okay. Well, I think my biggest advice would be to enjoy every part, every stage of the process, every season. Don't try to be more than you are. Appreciate where you are, and don't, as Jordan Peterson says, don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, and that's really all you can do. You just you look inward with your with what appeals to you musically, because at the end of the day, there is something that you offer with your voice that is unique to you, and no one else can do that but you. So therefore, it's best for you to just develop that take it as far as you can, and then I would say, learn to be really good at your musicianship. Take your craft seriously. Don't just
half-ass it.
Yeah. Don't neglect that aspect, 'cause that's very important. And
because you were how old when, maybe not when it started, but like your first paying gig? How old were you then? Because I think you were like 14 or so, maybe, when we first started playing together.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you'd been playing and doing stuff before, because.
Well, so my brother and I used to have a band, and then he went off to medical school, and I just continued on with my studies. So I continued on with my studies on classical violin, and then had opportunities to play around the Statesboro area when I was about 12, and started playing with bands like you guys and Paul Phillips and Wesley Bragg, and
at least you weren't corrupted. You had every chance to be corrupted, and you have remained. You were in my eyes a good girl. I don't want to hear any bad stories, but you were still in my eyes just the same sweet girl that we met a long time ago.
That's very sweet, Myles.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'm very thankful for those times. Extremely. Did that answer your question? I feel like
yeah. No, it's fine. I was talking about, I was just adding on to his thing, as because you're never too young to start, never too young.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I think I was probably 16 or so, ish, when I first started playing over in Statesboro.
And you're also never too old.
Yeah,
Yeah. I see a lot of people I meet a lot of people that say, "Oh, I love music so much, and I've always wanted to play, but I just feel like I've kind of missed my chance." I'm like, that cannot be further from the truth.
Your brain's a muscle. You get if you start working it, especially something like that. And all it takes is it's like anything. It's just practice.
Absolutely.
Building up that muscle.
My advice.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say my advice to musicians. We're talking about muscle memory, that type of thing. Building it up. Once you kind of master one instrument, it's so much easier to pick up other things.
Oh,
so it's a process you can do.
Okay, so you say, Mr. I play horns and piano.
This is true.
And I was like, yeah, y'all do so much. I was like, I play guitar. That's about it. That's all I got.
Well, it's not how much you know, it's how deep you go, right, with it. And there's something to really be said for sticking with one instrument and just like achieving mastery over it. That's an incredible thing.
And let me say this. Basically, we're telling stories. I mean, we're creating emotion with our instruments. So if you can figure out how to do that on one instrument, it makes it easier to do that on another. That's kind of what I was what I was getting at.
That I can understand a little more.
Because it's all mechanics. Once you figure out how to move your fingers on the fretboard as a guitar player.
Because I have a hard time with alternate tuning sometimes. I'm like, because when I was starting to learn slide and stuff, I was like, open tunings? No, we'll just learn it in standard. I'm not relearning guitar. I'm not relearning guitar.
Yeah.
I'll just do drop D. It'll be fine.
Yeah. We all love being creative. We all love expressing ourselves. And I think that's one of the big things about just expressive people. I mean, we just love to create. We love to share our joy, our feelings, and on the flip side, I know people who are like complete recluse type people, just introverts. But when they have an instrument in their hands or they're singing a song, it's like they become another person.
Yeah. Well, there's so much joy that comes from creating something and knowing that it's your. It is your expression, and it's a piece of your identity. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and sometimes
couldn't tell.
Well, it's not always a good thing, and so I've been trying to release more music. I feel like that's kind of helped me back in the past, and I'm just always I'm always thrilled at people say, oh, I really appreciate like what you've done here. That's just such a, I don't know, I'm sure they're being kind, but I think that's what life is all about, is about creating and evolving and sharing it with other people, doing it as a service to other people, making them happy and bringing some inspiration. Like Bob Dylan said, what more can you do than inspire someone? Because I'm inspired all the time by what I see, other musicians playing, and it's almost like your batteries that charge each other, and artistically.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
Yeah, and not skill level. It doesn't matter skill level either, because I had a bunch of people tell me I'm a really great guitar player, and that's fine and dandy. But at the same time, I picked up a lot of my stuff from guys that had been playing for 6 months, but there was a lick there that they knew that I did not. I was like, you've been doing this for 6 months. And then at the same time, there's people who've been playing for 6 years. And I'm like, well, you suck. It's like I'm a little jealous. But you pick up stuff from
everyone can teach you
anywhere
something.
and everywhere.
Well, I think the advice that I would give to young aspiring musicians or performers is find out who you are, and when you have that message or that story you want to tell, just do it the best you can, even if it's simple. Just have fun with it. If it's something you enjoy, if it's something that's kind of a symbiotic give and return, nothing like being in front of a crowd and you're sharing that song or you're performing and you're feeling the love back from them. It doesn't matter.
That's the best in the world. That's better than any drug you can ever find.
It doesn't matter if you're Dream Theater or if you're 3-chord Charlie. I mean, if you've got that interaction going, that's and that's what you love to do it.
Yeah, I think I forget which philosopher said this, but it's one of the meanings of life is to find your gift and then share it with others. Mm-hmm. And if you if you just only play for yourself, that's great. There's a lot to be said for that, but at the same time, getting to share it with others. And making the world a brighter place by doing so, and by putting forth, inspiration and passion about something, that's priceless. And I think the world needs more of that, especially nowadays. Everybody needs hope, and art is a way of sharing hope, or even bearing witness to something, because not all songs have to be happy, right? Some of the best songs ever written are quite sad, and there's something so valuable about just saying, hey, you know, I bear witness to this, like, you know, feeling, even if it's negative, like a loneliness or a nostalgia. Yeah. It's soul medicine.
I think Townes Van Zandt, he did an interview one time. He was talking about, because, well, he's got a bunch of happy music, but he's also got probably more sad music than happy. Mm-hmm. And I think he was asked, he was like, why are all your songs, or most of your songs, so sad and stuff? He was like, well, you know, by being able to identify and, you know, see this sadness, you know, it makes you appreciate more the better times, I guess. Mm-hmm. But, you know, you can't have one without the other. I mean, you're not going to appreciate happiness without having right. a down or a down point at some point.
Yeah, not to interrupt, but I just wanted to share. Carl Jung, he said, no tree can reach up to heaven unless its roots go down to hell, and I think that's what.
Yeah, that's basically the same thing.
Yeah. So.
Y5. She's across the room and you can't see it, but so.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about songwriting is
because you can. Well, I mean, you're writing a song. It's your music. It's your baby. You can do whatever you want to with it. Now, whether anybody's going to listen to it or want to, it doesn't matter.
You're at the mercy of the public.
Yeah, you kind of, but at the same time, you can still play it on your porch, and as long as you enjoy it.
Well, people can tell if you're enjoying it. They can tell if it's real. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that are technically proficient, but they're boring. You know. Yeah. People will always appreciate and respect reality and stuff that's real and tangible.
Yeah. And there was something you were saying earlier about, you know, being a perfectionist and stuff like that. I think I heard a story one time that Dwayne Allman, there's in the recording of Statesboro Blues that most folks know, like the one they play on the radio, there's a mistake in that song, mm-hmm. but he didn't want to take it out. He kept it in there because kept it real. Because people are human, but nobody's perfect. You're not going to be, and it doesn't matter how many times you practice or whatever. You're probably going to nail it a lot, but every once in a while, even playing it live, there's going to be imperfections, but that's kind of the beauty of humans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Micah, thank you for being here with us, Micah Bonn, for those old school folks.
The true fans.
Yeah. Old school.
Those in the know. It's been great having you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's been my honor.
And thank you for seeing you, Michael.
Yeah, and thank you for playing on that track earlier today for one of our clients, Bo Norwood.
Really great
cool
song.
Really cool track.
It was really cool, and you laid some wicked stuff down on the violin or fiddle. I'm not sure which one that would be. You have to let me know on that one.
I'm going to let her share what.
Well, it was more in a Celtic style, so I'd say that would be more fiddling.
Yeah. Fiddle Faddle.
Fiddle Faddle. Hey, that's the name of my new band.
You said something earlier, Soul Medicine. I'm sure that would be a great band name, but I'm sure somebody's already had that one.
Well,
Gotta Google that now.
Well, I mean, you know, unless they got rights.
Yeah, unless they got lawyers.
Well, yeah.
Well, we're going to have you back here soon. Hopefully we get a few more listeners and get this thing off the ground. We want to thank allongeorgia.com for hosting us. Thanks, Myles, for being here as a co-host.
Yeah, thank you.
You can't see me, but
we're going to be doing more with Myles. Great guy. Glad to have him on board. Thank you again, Micah, for being here. Tell your mom and dad we said hello. And for you guys that want to follow Micah, what's your website?
It's you can find me on Facebook under Micah Bonn. I have a musician's page and a personal. And then I also have a YouTube channel, same name, Micah Bonn. And then MicahBonn.com is my website.
MICAH.
So you do have a .com then?
Yeah.
You are serious. You're big time now.
No.
Way beyond that.
But yeah, it's MICAHBONN. And I have my calendar posted, and hopefully I'll be coming to a place near you soon.
Again, thank you for being here. Thank you, Myles. Thank you, folks, for listening out in the internet land. We'll be back again next week. This is Chuck Hutchison, and this has been On the Map with Music Artist Pipeline. Thank you for tuning in to On the Map, a podcast produced by Music Artist Pipeline. Today's theme song, Bodine and the Poachers, Skinny Drinking. For information about our studios or any audio-related needs, contact us at musicartistpipeline@gmail.com. That's musicartistpipeline@gmail.com.